What is going on, guys? Eddie C, the basketball zombie, coming at you with a live tonight, a late night podcast. I usually don't come on this late, but I got some time, so I decided to come in and say what's up to you guys. See what the Knicks universe is talking about today. I saw there's a lot of lives today. Big up to my family in the MBK, Tony Crow, Knicks and Bruises, Queen Steph with the Queen's Court. Great shows today. Just want to big them up. Big up to the big bro Sim, everybody in the MBK family. Decided to jump on tonight, like I said. Had some free time. It's not my usual time slot. I usually don't come on this late, but just decided to come in and say what's up to everybody. See how everybody's doing today. So I'm gonna post the link in the chat one time. So whoever wants to jump in could jump in, and we could talk about the Knicks today. My topic for today is Mitchell Robinson. I think is a very important topic to talk about because Mitchell Robinson could be the key, one of the biggest puzzles to a New York Knicks championship. And yeah, I said it, New York Knicks championship. Center position is always a very important position. It's the defensive anchor of a lot of teams, especially if you have a defensive anchor at the center position who can score, who can get you buckets, who can get you offensive rebounds, who can facilitate a little bit. You can see what Nikola Jokic has done for the Denver Nuggets as a team, as a point center who is able to facilitate the ball, who is able to score the ball, shoot the three ball, and still be a presence down low. Maybe not a shot blocking presence, but at least a big body who can anchor that defense. He's a great rebounder. So, necessarily when you say anchor of a defense, doesn't have to be a shot blocker per se, somebody who's just going to come out and block shots all the time. It could be somebody that's just going to occupy space. It's not going to let you get an easy shot off, and it's going to get a rebound for you. So add to that his offensive prowess, and we're talking about a complete basketball player, MVP last year. So the center position is still a very important position in the NBA, and the Knicks have a young piece. The Knicks have a very young piece who has not scratched the surface of what his potential could be. Okay, we see this kid now that we have. I'm talking about Mitchell Robinson, right? We see this kid now, and what do we see? We see a tall, athletic, shot blocking, rim running center. But that doesn't mean that that's all he's going to be. He can be a mid-range shooter in a couple of years. He can be somebody that can shoot the free throws well in a couple of years. He can be somebody who can help facilitate at the pinch post in a couple of years. You give him the ball as in a triangle type of offense, and he might be able to find some players cutting to the basket, make a little dribble move himself to get to a layup. So, just because we see Mitchell Robinson as this player that he is now doesn't mean that that's going to be the player that he's going to be forever. Players develop. Everybody has a time in the off season when they can develop, they can get better, they can learn new things, they can get a better jump shot. They can just, get more experience, and that's going to help them on the basketball court 100%. So why do I bring up Mitchell Robinson as the topic for today? It got me to thinking when Robert Williams got his contract, the 4-year, $54 million contract. I said to myself, if the Boston Celtics, a very important organization, a very smart organization, sees the how can I say this? If they see the importance of signing their young center, how can the Knicks not see the importance of signing theirs, right? You don't want to lose Mitchell Robinson because of a few bucks here and there to another team and watch him just, blow up right when the time is right, and you weren't able to get the best out of him when you had him from before, right? So you want to be able to cash in on the draft pick that you had. Excuse me just a sec because I gotta fix something here. All right. Yeah, so you want to cash in on the second round draft pick because we took him in the second round, right? And he's outplayed his draft position since we got him. You understand? Kevin Knox was our first round draft pick. Then he became our second round draft pick. I think around the 30s, if I'm not mistaken. And since we drafted him, he's played phenomenal for us. He's outworked his draft positioning. He had a contract that was given to him that was probably beneath his value. I'm not so sure if he could have gotten more money being a second round draft pick or not, but he got some sort of money. You know, he's had well chronicled agent changes here and there, where he's gone from different agents to different agents to different agents. And I'm not sure if they were able to maximize his value when it came to the market. The New York Knicks have always been sly when it comes to that, signing players to team-friendly deals and things of that sort. So they got him on a team-friendly deal for the past 2-3 years, and time is up. You know, he's going to be an unrestricted free agent next year if we don't give him a contract this year. I'm not sure if he'll be a restricted free agent if we send him a qualifying offer. I need to check that out. But if he's not signed this year, he's going to be an unrestricted free agent, right? And you don't want Mitchell Robinson to hit the market. If Robert Williams was able to get a 4-year, $54 million deal, the market will probably dictate him getting a higher deal than that. So, you know, you want to be very careful when you're playing that game, that Russian roulette game of, do I want to pay this guy? Do I not want to play this guy? So that's why I came up with this topic of, is Mitchell Robinson the center of our future for the next 4 or 5 years? If you're asking me, I think 100%. I think 100% you need to secure this man's contract, secure him in for the next 4 to 5 years, and just make sure that you have that position solidified. One of the main reasons why I think it's important to do that is because you have somebody behind him who's able to mirror his play, and if anything should happen, that other person could come in, and that's Nerlens Noel. I think we're in a great position where we have 2 of these centers. You know, what's another team that has 2 of these centers? The Atlanta Hawks have the same type of deal going on with their club. They have Clint Capella, right? Who they traded for, but he has a major deal. And then they drafted a center. Even though they had Clint Capella, they still drafted another center in Onyeka Okongwu. Now he has a shoulder injury. We don't know how long he's going to take to come back, but he's a player, young player, who's going to develop as well, who's going to be a key part of their team, and probably will be the center of the future for them. So they have the 2-headed monster at center. And I think that's super important in the NBA because sometimes you get these dumb foul calls. You're not able to you have to come out early, and you don't want to lose that anchor of your defense or whatever you do on offense, because Clint Capella is a key component to Atlanta's offense. You don't want to lose that when your starting center goes out. You want to have somebody to supplement them and to play the same position as them and help out at the same rate. You don't want to go, you don't want to trickle down, and you don't want to lose anything when a player goes off the bench. And that's what I think the New York Knicks have done beautifully. They've, at every position, they've gone 2 deep, and I think we have our rookies who can even be 3 deep now with McBride and Quentin Grimes at certain positions. I think Grimes can play the 3 a little bit. He's definitely could play the 2. I think McBride is going to be the point guard of the future, and I think he can play off the ball as well. You know what I mean? I've seen a lot of good action between Quentin Grimes and McBride when he cuts to the basket. We saw that one play with Quentin Grimes at the ball at the 3-point line, made a couple of dribbles. The defender came and doubled him. McBride cut, boom, he passed the ball. There was a dunk. So those types of plays, I think he can play off the ball a little bit, and that's just going to help his value whenever he gets on the court. and whatever position that the coach needs him to play. If he needs him to play off the ball, if he needs him to play on the ball, he can do both and defend both positions because his wingspan is going to allow him to play taller players. What's going on? That one kid 68. How you doing, bro? Thanks for joining me, man. So with that being said, you don't want to lose anything when any player goes off the bench, but we have the luxury of having somebody in our bench who does exactly the same thing that a Mitchell Robinson does. You know, I'm not going to go as far as to say that he's better at Mitchell Robinson than Mitchell Robinson at what he does, but he can mirror it and he can play just as well. You know, sometimes probably even better in some spurts, but not 100%, right? I still think Mitchell Robinson has way more potential, and he's just a better basketball player all around. I like his pick and roll defense way better than Nerlens Noel's. That actually, to me, was lacking when Nerlens Noel played against Atlanta, was the pick and roll defense. Trae Young was just picking them apart on that pick and roll defense, and I think Mitchell Robinson is better at that than him. So he wants to Nerlens Noel wants to stay back a little bit when he's playing the pick and roll defense, and Mitchell Robinson is able to do both. He's able to go ahead and touch up the man on the pick and roll, and then come back and play his own man. So I think that's very important when it comes to pick and roll defense. I think that was lacking from Nerlens Noel last year in the playoffs, and I think if knock on wood, Mitchell Robinson stays healthy, that's not going to be a problem this year. What's going on, Savvy D? How you doing, my bro? Yo, the link is in the chat, man. If you want to come in and chat with me a little bit, man, you're welcome to do so, bro. We're gonna be here just for a little while. You know what I'm saying? I don't take too much of people's time. I don't be on for like 2-3 hours. You know, I just, come in 30-40 minutes and be out. So going back to the topic of Mitchell Robinson, I really do think that we need to secure Mitchell Robinson ASAP because I don't want to play these games of waiting around, see how he plays, see if he stays healthy, none of that. You know what I'm saying? I just want to secure him for the next 4 years. I know that it's a dicey situation because there's a lot of people that are going to say he's injury prone, and they don't want to play an injury prone player. There's a lot of people in the Knicks universe that like Nerlens Noel a lot. So, we have to, in my opinion, we have to sign him. But, there will be other people that has different opinions saying that there's no need, that we should wait, that we have somebody else that can play if we need to trade him, this and that. I would rather keep Mitchell Robinson for this one simple fact, okay? Mitchell Robinson is one of ours. We drafted him. He's our drafted player. Why would we let somebody else reap the benefits of a player that we drafted, right? So if he's able to show this much potential at the short time that he's played, injuries and all, there's no reason why we should let another team reap the benefits of Mitchell Robinson blowing up, and then we lose out on what we drafted in the second round, on all that promise, on everything that we've constructed, because the team has been constructed around players like Mitchell Robinson, around players like R.J. Barrett, around players like Julius Randle. The first things that we did when we went into the free agent market was we got shooters. We got an Evan Fournier who's a shooter, and we know Kemba could shoot the three. So we took the positions that we were lacking in last year, which was Elfrid Payton mostly and Reggie Bullock. Reggie Bullock not so much is in the shooting, but in facilitating and putting the ball on the floor and being a different type of scorer, except for a spot-up three-point shooter, and Elfrid Payton's definite deficiencies on the offense. Let me see. Savvy D. I bet, dog. I mean, if you're not home, bro, ain't no thing, man. 23 Blade, what's up, bro? How you doing? What's going on, man? Thanks for joining me, guys. So, 23 Blade says shooting, playmaking, and shot creation. Definitely. That's what we definitely got in free agency. I think is one of the reasons why the New York Knicks actually preferred to sign. And this might be a little, how do you say, controversial, but I think that was part of the reason why New York signed Alec Burks instead of Reggie Bullock now. All right. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but they let Reggie Bullock go. Somebody that was a key part of their first team, somebody that had great chemistry with Julius Randle, somebody that, was basically one of our key players last year. And instead of signing Reggie Bullock to maybe a 3-year, $10 million deal, they decided to go ahead and sign Alec Burks. Why? Because, in my opinion, I think the reason why we did that was Reggie Bullock cannot create his own shot. And that's the difference between Alec Burks and Reggie Bullock. Alec Burks may not be the shooter that Reggie Bullock is, maybe not the defensive player that Reggie Bullock is, but Alec Burks could get a shot off. He can get to the line. He has the little get to the line game where he get the little layup and the foul. He can come up and shoot the ball and the mid range. Have that little craftiness game in him. And Reggie Bullock cannot do that at all. So what happens when somebody locks in on a Reggie Bullock? Listen, Trae Young was guarding Reggie Bullock, and Reggie Bullock couldn't really get off. You know what I'm saying? He had no dribble game. He couldn't post up Trae Young. He couldn't do anything, which was, I think, was so weird about how that series went. And it's now looking back at it, it's not that weird. It's just that Reggie Bullock really don't have a game if it don't come on the spot up, if it don't come off the pass. And that's the difference between him and Alec Burks. Alec Burks came in and he could play the point if need be. Set up the offense. He was doing that a ton last year in the fourth quarter, setting up the offense, playing as a point guard. There was points and times, I kid you not, that I actually seen Thibodeau put in Alec Burks at the point guard and put Derrick Rose on the bench. Derrick Rose, somebody that was voted, that had votes for Sixth Man of the Year, a player that we say is so important to the Knicks organization. I seen Tom Thibodeau play Alec Burks at the point guard and sit Derrick Rose on the bench. So let that sink in. All right. So I think, that's one of the reasons why we did what we did. I think he's a very important part of the organization. I think he can do a lot of different things that a Reggie Bullock couldn't do. And we had to choose between the two. I think we made the right decision by doing this because at the end of the day, when you need a bucket, you need to have shot creators, people that can get their own buckets, people that can facilitate as well, because he could do a little bit of that too. You know what I'm saying? He has like that little silky. I know he's a journeyman. I know he doesn't stay in teams a lot. He has a lot of deficiencies. But when we seen him play at the Garden, Alec Burks got game. He can do pretty much everything you want on the basketball court. He's 6'7". He can see over the defense. He has great passes. He has great handles. Kind of reminds me like a low-key Jamal Crawford out there. No lie. Kind of reminds me of that. Robert Shaw, what's going on, man? How you doing, bro? Thanks for joining me, bro. Let's see what Robert Parr has to say to us. Yeah, we chose offense over defense. Okay, I want to get to that point, and I'll read the rest of your comments in a second, Robert Parr. We chose offense over defense. When it came to the signing, 100%, we signed offense over defense. But you know why we did this? Because our coach is a defensive mind. Our coach is a defensive guru. So our coach can basically take subpar defenders and turn them into better defenders. Why? Because he knows how to teach defense. Okay. At the end of the year, Obi Toppin was a better defender. He was a better defender in summer league than he has been in his whole life. We saw what Obi Toppin did when he came into the league. He was hot garbage on defense. He couldn't guard a post, a parked car. Now you see the kid learning. He's doing different things. He's getting up into people. He's moving around. That was all Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau turned that around. You don't just turn that around like with the snap of your finger. It takes time, but he did it. And we're going to see a better Obi Toppin for it. Obi Toppin is going to be singing his praises for the rest of his career if he stays long enough for Tom Thibodeau, because Tom Thibodeau is going to teach him what he needs to know to be in this league for a very, very, very long time. So being that we have a defensive-minded coach, We can use players that are not really defensive minded per se. Evan Fournier, you don't say Evan Fournier, lockdown defender. I'm pretty sure Evan Fournier next year is going to D up. You're going to see Evan Fournier next year D up. Why? Because the coach demands it. The coach is going to put him in positions to play defense. The coach is going to tell him, if you don't play defense, I'm not going to play you. And you think Evan Fournier is not going to want to play? Evan Fournier is gonna take that in and is going to spew it out because that's what he wants as a player. He needs that type of coach. You can see it in the way he talks, the way he acts. He's dying for a coach like that. He sang the praises of Clifford. Clifford that one year had him playing phenomenal in Orlando. They had very, very few players who can play well, very young team, and he had them playing very well. Orlando was a well-coached team. So Evan Fournier is going to fall in love with Tom Thibodeau and vice versa. Let's see. With Bullock not being able to create off the dribble, it made him expendable. Yeah, we just talked about that and the reasons why I think that we chose Alec Burks over Reggie Bullock. Wise decision. I think that's what we needed to do. We can find players who can supplement Reggie Bullock on the defensive end as well. So there goes that. Ntilikina was somebody that we thought was the godsend of the defensive players in the NBA. And what do? Let him go. We need that offensive upgrade. We were lacking in that department. Very true. We were lacking in shot creation, and that's what we got. We got shot creators, shooting guard who can create a little bit. Kemba Walker is definitely somebody who can create for himself and get into the paint. You know, he's a point guard. So, all right. So, with that being said, after all that I said, right? After all this, that we chose Alec Burks over Reggie Bullock because of the offensive stuff and this and that, blah, blah, blah. All that whole rant that I just went on with offensive players and defensive players and the reason why we can use subpar offensive players because we have a defensive coach, it all goes back to Mitchell Robinson, right? Why can we have somebody who's maybe subpar on the wing at one position? Why do we have, even though the numbers say Julius Randle had a great defensive rating last year, why can we have probably a power forward who has a little bit of a deficiency on the defensive side of the ball? Because we have a player in Mitchell Robinson who can erase a lot of these players' mistakes. A Kemba Walker who is not thought of as to be a defensive player. He's a very small player. There are going to be times where there's going to have to be schemes where he's going to have to drive his player to where Mitchell Robinson is. And that's where Mitchell Robinson is going to come in and just erase any mistake, erase anything that happened. And somebody's also going to have Mitchell Robinson's back. That's all going to be in the scheme. Don't kid yourself. Tom Thibodeau is going to find a way to make, if Mitchell Robinson has to step up for somebody has to help Mitchell Robinson. And if somebody doesn't do that, well, they're going to get a tongue lashing because this is what it's all about, man. This is a five-man sport. Everybody that's playing on the court has to be on a string. They have to play together. They have to know if they have to come out and switch on somebody else's man, somebody else has to switch on that person's man. And somebody else has to switch on that other's man who switched to the other person's man. And then if the ball swings back, everybody's got to go back together. Everybody has to play on a string. And if you don't know what the position is, where you needed to be at that time, that's when Tom Thibodeau comes in and you hear the screaming and you hear the tongue lashing and you hear the, this is where you were supposed to be. This is how you know what I'm saying? We've seen it last year. We've seen it when he's upset and he calls those timeouts and he sits down. Takes a couple of seconds, right? Everybody's seen this. Everybody who's a Knicks fan seen Knicks games where Tom Thibodeau calls a timeout because he's upset. And everybody at the in the broadcasting is like, oh, Tom Thibodeau's upset. Everybody goes and takes a seat. Tom Thibodeau sits down, stays quiet for about 5, 6, 7 seconds. Then he gets on his clipboard and he's like, yo, why this? You were supposed to be here. And you know this. We've been practicing this the whole year. Where were you supposed to be? And nobody is privy to it. I've seen Julius Randle get it. I've seen RJ Barrett get it. I saw one time RJ Barrett get it so bad that Todd Gibson had to come up to him and pat him on the back. Talk about everything's gonna be all right. I seen RJ Barrett get it. We definitely see Obi Toppin get it. Kevin Knox. I mean, the list goes on and on. So ain't nobody gonna be safe from if they mess up on a defensive possession. The offense is gonna be a totally different ballgame. We brought in offensive players. They come in and they do what they do. They play offense. Let Tom Thibodeau worry about the D. Let Tom Thibodeau tell him you were supposed to be here. I don't care. You don't need to shoot now. Why? Because you ride in the bench. Because you didn't play D. You want to go and shoot? You want to score 25 points a game? You want to have a good game at the Madison Square Garden? Play defense. And that's that. There ain't gonna be no There ain't gonna be no switching up or none of that. Whoever's gonna play on this team is gonna play defense, and that's gonna be from the top guy Julius Randle to the bottom guy Alec Burks, Obi Toppin, Kevin Knox, Miles McBride, Quentin Grimes, Taj Gibson, all these guys. Taj brings the effort, so you know what I'm saying. Maybe he's gonna be. That's the OG. That's the OG. So you gotta give the OG, and the OG stepped up big time last year in the playoffs. Both of them, Derrick Rose and Taj, they had to put him into the starting lineup because the other kids didn't. We couldn't get it done. OGs had to come in and step in and play starters minutes. How are we going to win that series? If the OGs, the people that are supposed to be on the bench telling us, yo, we should be doing this, aren't on the bench. They're in the game. How are we supposed to win that series? It's going to be hard, man. It's going to be hard. Move together, unit on both ends of the floor. Facts show. First and foremost, you can tell Rose and Taj been in the playoffs before with their play last postseason. 100%. 100%. They know what they got to do. But they're 36. Rose is an old 32. Taj is like 35. You can't do it like that, man. There's kids out. Those guys in Atlanta was 20, 25, 26, 27. Playing hard. Nate McMillan is a great coach. You know what I'm saying? They had it clicking, man. They had it clicking. And we just didn't have enough firepower. We just didn't have enough firepower. So definitely Mitchell Robinson is a key piece to the puzzle. And we need to sign that boy ASAP. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. Mitchell Robinson needs to be signed and needs to be a New York Knicks for the next 5 years. Hold on, I see my boy in here. Let me get him up. Everybody say what's up to my boy Savvy D. What's happening, bro? How you doing, fam?
Kicking it, man. How you been?
I've been good, man. I've been good. I've been going on this rant on this New York Knicks. Offense, defense. Mitchell Robinson ran for the past 20 some odd minutes, man. And just giving out my points on why we should sign Mitchell Robinson long term. No doubt about it. Get it done ASAP. Get him in the fold. Set it and forget it. He needs to be here for the next 5 years.
Set it and forget it. I like it. But I didn't catch the beginning of what you were saying, but I definitely caught a bit of the end, and you were spitting, my brother. And let me tell you something. I agree with you on almost every single thing that you said, right? And I use the word almost because, I don't really have any disagreements, honestly, so maybe I shouldn't even use that word, but here's my thing about Mitch. I loved what I saw immediately when we got him. He thought he was a steal, right? The circumstances that went into him becoming a steal, I don't have to get into. We all know the story. He wasn't playing, and then, so he didn't really have an image to to commercialize, and then we wound up getting him in the second round. I thought he definitely exceeded the pick,
Mhm.
and at his age, he was already doing great things on defense and showing us great offensive capability and development, especially in that period where we had DeAndre Jordan, right?
Mhm.
DeAndre Jordan came in, and I felt like what time they did have together definitely had an impact, because I felt like as good as he was relative to the pick coming in, you can look at his career as in before and after he played with DeAndre. And ever since then, it seemed like he's figured himself out. He's steadily improved, right? And
Mhm.
gotten better at things. And his injury history is unfortunate. So there's an approach that needs to be very prudent in how we go about his contract structure and how we pay him and everything like that. What I would like to see is him fulfill a role where he is still being given minutes, where his health and sturdiness is prioritized, right? And maybe going into the season, we are still starting Nerlens Noel, right? And allowing him to work his way back into the starting role if he winds up becoming who should really be the true starter once again, right?
Okay.
Because if this was right after he got injured, I'd say as soon as he gets better, give him back the starting job, you know. But now that I've seen what I've seen from Nerlens, I'm like, you know what? This is a good thing. It's stable, and Nerlens has played his way into more consideration for that role, right? Which is a great
Okay.
thing. This is a great situation to have. I think we let him rock with this updated Knicks roster, see how it goes, see if he can develop the offense that we want from him, and allow Mitch to just do his thing and come in after. You know, once Mitch comes in and does his thing and he's healthy over a long period of time, the chips are going to fall where they're supposed to fall. You know, so we don't have to go too crazy on trying to secure him, because I think he also has something to prove as well. He needs to prove that he can last for a whole season and understand his body and what it needs to make it through the grind.
Okay. So I just want to ask you this one question, because if you were, hopefully you were listening to some of the things that I was saying about Mitchell Robinson, right?
Yeah.
Um, I'm of the position of, I think we should sign him, you know, the latest midway through the season, but don't let him get into free agency, right? I don't believe that we should let him get into free agency. Now,
Yeah.
what is your stance on signing him after midway point of the season?
I
Do
would
you
do it.
prefer to sign him midway point through the season, or would you prefer to wait for him to get into free agency, see what the market holds, and try to sign him there?
I would prefer to do a deal midway, because I definitely want to retain him as opposed to any other alternative, right? But but yeah, like I wouldn't be mad if we locked him in immediately. And that's why I agree with you, because I feel like, this guy's a keeper already, right?
Mm-hmm.
All I've seen is steady improvement and like a consistent ability to do what he does well. And I love that at the center. It feels like we haven't had that since Tyson Chandler.
Right.
You feel me? And O'Quinn was okay, but he played power forward, so I'm tripping actually. So, but
I
um,
get I get what you're saying when you talk about DeAndre Jordan, but I think when we really saw a difference, and it's not probably statistical, um, because everything is not statistical. Some things are maturity. Some things are what you're being taught as an NBA player.
right,
And I think actually the change that we saw in Mitchell Robinson was the first 20 some odd, 30 some odd games of last season when Tom Thibodeau, came out from the get go in training camp and says, "Listen, you remember when they had like a little spackle back and forth. Tom Thibodeau was telling him a little bit about maturity. We don't know who's going to start. Nerlens Noel is playing very well. This and that, blah blah blah. When the season started, though, Mitchell Robinson was a starter, and you saw a difference in Mitchell Robinson's attitude, a difference in Mitchell Robinson's maturity. So when it comes to maybe on the court, there was a difference when DeAndre Jordan came into when DeAndre Jordan when he was the understudy for DeAndre Jordan.
Right.
But I think when we really saw a change in Mitchell Robinson as becoming a better player as an NBA center was when Tom Thibodeau became his coach and sat his butt down and told him, "Listen, boy, you better stop playing these little games. You better stop acting like you this and that, because this ain't happening over here."
I can't argue with that. I can't argue with it, because that was also a very pivotal shift that I saw as well. I also had concerns about if it was too much responsibility to lay on this guy, right? And I've seen a lot of growth in him, as it appears, from how he presents himself. He started doing that show,
right?
Something with Mitchell Robinson, really building his relationship.
I think it was called Mitchell Robinson's block
party. No.
Was it? I don't know.
It wasn't block party, but
it had something to do like that, or Robinson's
something
name
about being outside or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it was cool, and I felt like he came out of his shell.
Right.
I feel like he's definitely grown over the years. I feel like he was a much more playful, childish kind of guy in the beginning, and now he's much more, like composed, I'll say, and people have concerns about the changes in management, and how that might indicate his level of commitment, to the team and to basketball matters. But what I really see is a person who is decisive, regardless of how you feel about his decisions. He's making his decisions because he believes they're the right ones. So I can make a deal with a guy like that. A guy that's afraid to make decisions would be more concerning to me.
Now, that's a very important thing that you brought up about the management, right? Because, I'm a person that likes reading the tea leaves. Any bit of information that we can get from the internet, from being outside, because we're not in these rooms, we're not in these negotiations. We have no idea what they're talking about. Sometimes I get a little pissed at people when they say certain things, and I come back and I say, "Listen, we're not privy to what these guys are talking. We don't even know if they're having contract conversations at this moment in time." Right? We have no idea if this is going on. Even before the Robert Williams contract, that even the Knicks are not privy to what Boston is doing or any other team in the NBA is doing, right? So to me, I thought it was very, very important, and it was very telling when he actually fired Clutch Sports. Because knowing that we are CAA, first and foremost, it's not like we're going to draft all CAA players and we're going to sign all CAA players. That's not what I'm trying to say. But we do have a bias to the organization CAA. We have a bias to the Kentucky or the Kentucky college. We have a bias towards these things. Why? Because we're in the know there. We have a little bit more information, a little bit more pull. We can probably get things through the grapevine said to us from these different outlets, which makes us part of the team. Me and you, we on the MBK fam team, right? Yeah. So we're privy to what the MBK fam is doing before anybody else is privy to it.
Exactly.
Right? So we're going to rep. So if somebody's going to come on my podcast, most definitely is going to be an MBK fan member.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying that everybody else is invited, but that's the fam. So these are the outlets that are gonna help you grow, gonna help you get informations, that are gonna help you do this and this and that. So when he fired Clutch Sports, I thought it was a precursor to saying, listen, I'm down with these guys. You know what I'm saying? Maybe Clutch Sports and CAA probably wouldn't see eye to eye. I didn't get the best contract before from my management. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
let's do this together. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to get the bag, as they say. You know, definitely he's going to get paid because he's a great basketball
Absolutely.
player.
Yeah.
But
No,
he's
for
not
sure.
going out. He's not going to stick you up.
Mhm.
I'm not going to try to stick you up, Leon Rose. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? We family. So let's work this out together. You know, you scratch my back, I scratch your back. You know what I'm saying? You
Exactly.
give me, you take care of me, and I most definitely are gonna be representing New York City, representing the New York Knicks for the most of the time of my career. Hopefully, I'm gonna be here for the rest of my career, right? That's what everybody,
Yeah.
all these
Right.
basketball players want to do, right? They want to stay. You never hear somebody when they gets drafted talk about, nah, I'm gonna be here for only 2 years and then I'm gonna bounce somewhere else.
Unless you're playing for Utah.
Unless you're playing for Utah. I hope you're right, boy.
Unless you're playing
I
for
hope that boy
Utah.
Donovan Mitchell is wink wink. You know what I'm saying? Leon, you got a seat for me over there. Keep that seat warm. I'm gonna be there soon. I gotta get out this contract. But you get what I'm saying, right? You get what I'm saying. Like
Definitely.
these guys,
Absolutely.
when they get drafted, that's like the best thing that ever happened to them. It don't matter where they go. You know what I mean? There's you can hear a lot of things in the media outlets about oh, this guy's unhappy here, this guy's unhappy here. There was a key point. There was a writing, a report about Jalen Green, right?
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
Jalen Green said he's the number one player in the draft. He went and he worked out for Detroit. He went and he worked out for Houston, right?
Hmm.
It didn't matter where it didn't to him. It didn't matter who he was going to play for. He wanted to be drafted number one,
Right.
right? Detroit had the number one draft pick. Now Detroit went ahead and drafted Cade Cunningham. Okay,
Yeah.
Jalen Green
Yeah.
went to the Houston Rockets. After after the draft, remind you, before the draft, he's talking about he's the number one. He should get picked number one.
Right.
Detroit Pistons have the number one draft pick.
Hmm.
He gets drafted to Houston. You hear reports about Jalen Green saying, I didn't want to be in Detroit anyway. Detroit wasn't my. Now, you don't know if that's true.
It be
You
like
don't,
that sometimes.
you don't
You
know
know
if
what I'm
that's
saying?
true. But mind you, if he would have been drafted by the Detroit Pistons with the number one draft pick, he would have been repping. He
I'll
would have
say
been like,
this.
yo, Detroit, Motor
I'll say
City, what
this.
up? We
A
going
lot of
up.
young kids, a lot of young kids, when they think about cities that they would like to play for, you know, Detroit might not be the in the early short list of cities
Mhm.
that they name, but he knew that they had the pick and he wanted to be first.
The money is different too.
Right. So, so if if the Miami Heat or somebody had the first pick, you know, he'd be pretty excited. He'd be like, "Yo, I want to beat
Man,
Miami." You know
I
what I
hate the
mean?
Miami Heat, man.
You know what I
I
mean?
hate the Miami Heat, man.
I
The Miami, listen, they got such the cheat code
yeah, they do.
with that tax-free jump off, with the weather. You know what I'm saying? They got such the cheat code. I hate,
Location, location.
I hate the Dallas Mavericks. I hate the San Antonio Spurs. I hate the Miami Heat. I hate the Memphis Grizzlies. All these teams that got no state taxes. I hate them, bro. They have such the cheat code when it comes to free agency. Kyle Lowry, how the hell does Miami Heat finagle away to get Kyle Lowry? They didn't even have money. I guess they had the pieces to get it done, but they weren't like, yo, we saved up seven. They weren't the Knicks who saved up 70 million. Talking about we could give Kyle Lowry 20.
They
Kyle
just
Lowry didn't.
don't.
You know what I'm saying?
It just seemed like Pat Riley don't like to draft. You feel me? he likes to trade his picks to get players he believes in, you know.
And when
Players,
he drafts it
players,
damn well.
you know what I'm saying? And he gets players that have that toughness, uphold the culture, you know, and then make good deals to like rotate them out of there and get who they need to get. You know what I mean? They're much more of the deal making team on that front than the let me draft this kid and he's gonna be great. Like
Yo, I
I'm
hope
not sure about the scouting,
Mitchell
but
Robinson.
they did not bad with Tyler Hero. You know,
I hope
let's see how
Mitchell
it goes.
Robinson just swallows up Bam Adebayo every time Adebayo tries to do that. And I just hope Mitchell Robinson just stands his ground with his 275-pound self now
Listen, no,
and just
no,
says, shoot
Eddie,
your little mid-range. And if you want to shoot it, I'm still going to lift up my left hand and block your joint. I hope he just swallows him up
Eddie,
because that's why I want Mitch on this team.
Eddie. I need him to yam it on Andre Drummond because
Andre Drummond is a sucker.
when we played them boys, he was in there
He was toying
having
with
a
him.
long day with Andre Drummond.
He was toying with him. Yeah, I mean, Andre Drummond.
Andre
He's
Drummond was
28.
showing him up the whole time. I was
He was
salty
like
for him.
28. You know, Philly's going to be a tough matchup. That's why we need both of them because Philly last year. You saw what Dwight Howard did to us when Joel Embiid went off the floor and we had to come in against Nerlens Noel, right?
When Mitch goes against those level of centers, that's when you see the youth and the inexperience, and like the boy still needs some time. You know what I mean? He's gonna be great
for sure, man. That's a 5-year difference. The Joel Embiid is a 5-year difference. So you know what I'm saying? We gotta get, but we gotta have him when he hits 25, 26.
A couple of steps around.
So and we can, you know.
I might lose you for a second. If I do, I'll be right back in. But check this out. Getting back to the Knicks, because all these other teams can do what they want. But I feel like what we're gonna do this season is we're gonna go out there with that new offense, like what you said. Right, and then once we go out there and we figure out everybody's role and who they're going to be, and we really get rolling, I need these shots to fall, bro. I just need it like that. You know,
they're gonna fall, man.
I cannot have.
They're gonna fall because the difference is that we're gonna have players who are gonna be able to get to the foul line a little bit better.
Yeah,
you know, Evan Fournier. Is going to be able to get to the foul line a little bit better. Definitely Kemba Walker is going to get to the foul line a little bit better. They both shoot the free throws at an alarming, at a beautiful rate. So now you have Kemba who can get to the foul line. Evan Fournier can get to the foul line. RJ Barrett can definitely get to the foul line. Julius Randle, that's part of his game, getting to the foul line. You know what I'm saying? So we have 4 players on our team who can get to the foul line and could probably get some people in foul trouble early, which could probably most likely be part of the game plan. You know, little pump fakes, get to the rack, try to draw some fouls. I mean, that would be my bread and butter. If I were to be coaching the team, I'd be like, listen, early on in the game, we got to try to get these foul calls. We got to try to get these fouls so that people, you know, come in and we had to get some people out, and we working with the bench now. You know what I'm saying? And try to get it rolling. But that's just me. You know, I don't know what these other people will be wanting to do.
Just in general, having more finesse, you know, doing things like that, you know, like, you know, a little bit of trickery and misdirection, staying fluid with how we approach the offense and not falling into a rut. The main thing I want is speed and movement. You know, I want running in transition. I want breakaway points, fast break points.
And I think you're going to get that 100% because all these players that we just mentioned and players that are even off the bench can handle the ball. Kemba Walker is somebody that can handle the ball. Evan Fournier is somebody that can handle the ball. Julius Randle can handle the ball. RJ Barrett can handle the ball. Alec Burks can handle the ball. Derrick Rose can handle the ball. That's 6 right there. Derrick Rose can handle the ball. Emmanuel Quickly can handle the ball.
Yeah.
Miles
Quick is
McBride can
gonna
handle
have
the
to
ball.
adjust though.
Quentin Grimes can handle the ball. So we have a plethora.
Yeah.
We have a plethora of players. We just got to make it all mesh, and we just got to, But going back to everything, we have all this offensive firepower. We have all this offensive, key component to the balance of the team is to have a Mitchell Robinson in the back, anchoring the defense and doing the dirty work, picking up those offensive rebounds, jumping higher than everybody else, tipping the ball to himself,
He
diving on
could
the
have
floor
helped us.
for offensive rebounds, picking up the pick and rolls on these players.
Yep.
Trey Young, if Mitchell Robinson is out there and he just puts his hands up, it's going to be a little bit tougher for him to do his thing, his little magic tricks here and there, because we're going to have somebody who's athletically gifted enough to get up, jump with the best of them, and react, come back to his player. So
I would much
again,
rather see what he would have done against Clint Capella than how it turned out with Nerlens, because Nerlens did his best. But I just felt like the entire time, man, I really miss Mitch right now as I'm watching the Hawks beat us. Just because, man, like just the way it was happening without having the offensive lob threat that he gives us, right?
mhm.
And just the way that he goes about using his space. I feel like he could have really made a difference in that Hawks series.
For
But
sure. And I
but
think
that's
we're
why I'm looking forward
gonna
to
get
this
that.
season.
We're gonna get that for sure, Savvy. I'm about to hit it out. Like I said, I keep them short. I keep them for 45 minutes. We're gonna be coming on to an hour here. You're welcome anytime, my brother. I usually come on in the afternoons around 3 o'clock in the afternoons. Tomorrow is my day off, so maybe I might come on and do one tomorrow. But I just hit a little late night session today. Just wanted to get some things off my chest, man. I appreciate you coming in and spending the time with me, chopping it up with me a little bit. If you have anything to say, man, any last words for the people, man, your time, baby.
Year 3, RJ Barrett. Don't sleep. Let's get it, youngin. I believe in this team. NYK all day. And salute to the whole MBK fam as well. Eddie
Yes,
C, I
sir.
like what you got going, man. This shit's sweet.
Man,
Pause.
thanks, bro. Thanks, bro. Yo, man, I'm just trying to, give the Knicks fans, some content, something to chew on while we on this hiatus, this 2-month hiatus from Knicks basketball, and then when the Knicks start again, I'm gonna be ramping things up. This is just preliminary stuff. I'm trying to work on other things, getting the channel better, but this is how you grow. You want to start it from the bottom. People want to see growth, so this is the way we're going at it. But again, I appreciate you, my man, for jumping in, saying your piece with me, talking about the Knicks, man.
No
Again,
problem.
you're welcome anytime. Everybody's welcome anytime. Please subscribe, like, share the channel. Eddie C, the basketball zombie, MBK fan. Salute to you. Salute to everybody in the Knicks universe. Mitchell Robinson, our center for the next 4 to 5 years. Make it happen, Leon Rose. All right, we in this. Peace out, fellas. Check you guys out next time.